Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Rotation. My name is Ashley, aka MiDNiTE, here to talk some COD League with none other than Kingdom Soldier, woo, and
What up?
IKON. Yeah, yo, I just almost like reverted and did that skirt like sound from the COD League stream.
Yeah, it's
Skirt,
Love
stuck
it.
in all of our heads.
dude, it is. It's like every night before I go to bed, I'm counting sheep, and then all of a sudden I just hear skirt. Every dang time. Oh man, it feels good to be back with you guys. Obviously, we had Standy on the most recent episode last week. It was great to get to know the new kid on the block. Great show, but you just got the trees of us this week. We're here to talk COD League Stage 2, Stage 2 Majors coming up this week. We've got even more roster changes. Just stuff is starting to get wild. It's just that time of year where teams start to figure out who they are and who they want to be, and they're trying to get to that point. And yeah, so would love to talk with you gentlemen about, we got some power rankings on our mind and where the current kind of state of things are at as we go into now Stage 2 Majors. And oh my gosh, just a lot to, maybe we could start some predictions of the matches we know and maybe predict our winners for the weekend. I don't know. Anyway, I'll let you guys just give me your thoughts on Stage 2 in general. We can definitely talk about the most recent match weekend, but just you look at the not the power rankings, but the actual rankings. I mean, stuff's kind of shifted around quite a bit in that top six there. Obviously, very biased, Minnesota Rocker. Kingdom, I'll let you rock first. What did you think about Stage 2, particularly last weekend, but just in general, like as we're going into Stage 2 majors, where's your head at?
All over the place, just like the COD League right now. It is so. This league is so tight and so close, and the talent is all so good. Like every team's ceiling is probably like most teams. Their ceiling is like right below Atlanta FaZe. So everybody is competing really hard. I think that there's only a few teams that have their ceiling and can get up to where they're at and match them. Outside of that, we've seen so many just lopsided victories, unpredictable wins. Optic goes 0-6 and then switches it up, gets a nice 3-0 and then gets the 3-2 over Dallas. Like they needed both of those wins to prove like, hey, calm down. We're still the same Optic. We had a couple of off matches. We got it back together. Don't say drop dashy. Don't say, like we're good. Like we're good. Don't worry about the green wall. We got this. We saw just a lot. And then, of course, Lit Goat got dropped. And
Bro.
the tweet itself was awkward, saying they want to give him some time off. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
a
just
pro
say you
team paying
benched
somebody a
him.
salary doesn't like, hey, let me give you some time off, buddy. I know you're having a hard time. Like,
Just
I don't
say you
think,
benched him. It makes it sound like it was his idea then, which he said it wasn't. Or didn't it come out that it wasn't?
it sounded like it was a team decision.
Right.
Like it was not like Austin saying, I don't want to, and I'm talking about Slasher for those of you who don't know, but it's not like Austin said, I don't want to play anymore. I want to sit out because this is too crazy. But then Kenny came out with a video the next day saying that he wanted to get benched or traded. Like that there was just the vibes weren't there. And I agree with everybody in the community that's saying that those three, TJ, Slasher, and Kenny, it's just time for a breakup. You hate to see breakups, but it just seems like it's time for a breakup. There's a lot of teams that did what they've always done, and I got a shout out. I know I am a Clayster gas master on this show, and I always have been.
Clay deserves the gas, though. He really does. Wow.
That team, in my opinion, outside of Atlanta FaZe, who went on like a 35-9 map streak before they lost, or map count before they lost. That team, in my opinion, has been the most consistent team in the CDL all year long. Stage 1, Stage 2, no matter who's come on and off the team, no matter what type of losses they've taken, they're reverse sweeping people. They're consistently getting W's, getting wins. They're keeping their foot on the gas. They are an unpredictable nightmare for any team. And that first round matchup between them and Dallas is going to be a spicy one. So I think what Stage 2 has done is just produced a lot of storylines, which is what Call of Duty loves to give us. And this major is going to be bananas. We got to see FaZe lose, which was good.
That was sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, what'd you say?
I said that was sick. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it was honestly needed. something that Methods had said a couple weeks ago is he was like, they can be beaten and they will get beat. Like somebody will beat them. Like that, everybody's talking about they're unbeatable. Who's going to beat them? How are they going to get beat? And if as soon as we make them sound unbeatable, like literally right away, it's like, oh, LAG is going to come out, Silly's going to play silly, and they're going to get the W. And the way they embarrassed them in that last search, I mean, it showed that they're beatable, which is what I wanted to see because it makes the league feel more competitive. So I was very impressed by Stage 2. As a fan, as a viewer, as a commentator, in every way, shape, or form, I was impressed.
Yeah, I'll just kind of piggyback off of a lot of that because, like, the major points is how well New York's playing. Of course, Atlanta lost. The fact that LA Thieves went 1-4 in their group, which was by far the easier group. I will take one on the chin. Last time I was on this podcast, I missed the one last week with Standy because I was on spring break. But the one before that with the coaches, I didn't believe that Minnesota would get wins over Optic and Dallas yet. I thought maybe eventually it would come. I said like maybe by stage 3 or stage 4, once they get some more reps, then things might look a little bit different. I just didn't anticipate, especially where Minnesota was at prior to when I left after being 3-0'd by Florida, 3-0'd by Paris. I just thought roster change, bringing in somebody new, it would take a little bit of time. And it didn't. And Standy came out and he hit the ground running. And when it comes to his play overall, you can just tell how there's a different feel when you're watching Minnesota play. Like in one of those last control rounds where it was basically a 2v4 and they had to cap that B point on raid. If he and Priesta don't win that 2v4, they don't win that round against Seattle, which means they probably don't win that map, which means they probably get 3-0'd. But he just clutched up and he and Priesta were able to play off of each other and get those kills. And Minnesota just overall looks like a totally different team, and I'm excited to see what they can do heading into this major. Their first matchup on Friday is going to be against the winner of New York and Dallas. So that's the thing with the winner's bracket is that it's not like you get to slowly limp into the second major. If you get a number 1 seed, you're going to be playing a top 3, 4, maybe 5 team, and that's what they're faced up against. But there's also stuff going on with power rankings. I think the top 4 shook up quite a bit. I think there's a new team in the top 4, which I'm sure we'll talk about all that later. I think a biggest point for me, which when I put out my power rankings, a lot of people were kind of on LA Thieves. I didn't drop them a ton, but I think a lot of people are just saying put them in 11th or put them in 12th with everything going on with Slasher and Kenny being out and Temp back. And then it just Draza's in now. It seems like their roster's kind of in shambles. So the storylines from stage 2 are kind of all over the place. I think most of us probably would have predicted the top 3 correct in Group B. I think that we probably would have predicted that Optic, Dallas, and Minnesota would have been the top 3 in Group B, but probably wouldn't have went the way that it did. I think that we probably would have said Minnesota would be a 3-2, but they'd get wins over Seattle, Paris, and Florida. And that's not how it went, but they were still able to rebound and be in the top 3. And then over in Group A, I think most people probably agree that it would have been Atlanta and New York. And the third one from there, at the point in time when Stage 2 started, I think LA Thieves were still playing pretty well. So when it comes to the winners of Group A, I thought LA Thieves would be there, but they ended up losing the group. And we'll see what happens going into this major. Right off the rip, they got to play Paris. And, of course, Paris can be streaky at time. They can be a team where, okay, depends on, if they're kind of down, then maybe that's an easy victory. But we saw them take Atlanta to a Map 5 round 11 earlier in the year. So they're just a team that it depends on how they come out. And I think that could be a little bit of a trap game there for LA Thieves. Going in that, their roster's kind of in shambles. You have Kenny running a main AR, so you're taking your best player off of his most natural position. We'll see if it ends up working out. That's probably, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens there. It's an interesting scenario there. But overall, I just think there were a ton of storylines to come out of Stage 2. I think there were probably more storylines in Stage 2 than there were in Stage 1. I think Stage 1 probably went more as predicted as this one did. But now the major's upon us, and we've got big matches all over the place starting tomorrow. And I'm excited to watch. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it was an absolutely nutty Stage 2. I mean, you guys kind of just mentioned like some of the roster movement that kind of happened as a result, but let's even just like rewind the beginning of Stage 2. Major Maniacs on the starting lineup for RØKKR. Things do not go well for the entire team against Paris, Florida. We got 0-6 swept out of there in map count. We were in dead freaking last in the group. There's a decision made. Okay, we need to move Priesta off of one of the sub positions into more of a flex AR role where he's majority time running an AR. Well, that leaves our sub role open. Can Major Maniac run a sub? Yeah, probably, but are we really getting his true skill at that position? Most likely not. So the decision comes through Standy from Challengers champ last year. Just won Challengers Cup the day before he got recruited, I believe. He comes on the team, has the literal most impressive debut I've ever seen in Call of Duty. That, I mean, it outdoes Dashy, it outdoes Simp. I know it's online, I know it's been 3 matches, and I need to calm down, but I can't. I'm drinking the purple Kool-Aid, baby. He played phenomenal, and it's all about how this team kind of keeps moving forward together, because with him coming on, the freshness of those role swaps, you know, you saw RØKKR go 3-0 Optic, insane. We win 3-2 versus Dallas, insane. And then take out Surge, 3-2. Go from 0-6 map count. Then Optic takes out Dallas, shout out Green Wall, and we end up with the #1 seed in Group B. Yes, it sucks to have to play the winner of New York Subliners and Dallas right away, but with that #1 seed from Group B, we've secured top 6 in the Major 2 tournament, and that feels good. So no matter what happens, the worst case, I believe, is we could place top 6, which obviously is not what we want, but it sure is a hell of a lot better than 0-6 in map count just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a bounce back. I've never seen a debut like that, and I've never seen a bounce back happen so quickly. I'm really impressed at the coaching staff. Obviously, the new kid, like I said, meshing with the team pretty well, but it's about consistency from here, right? Like, can you keep replicating that? We'll freaking see. Now, I wanted to talk about this because with just like what we just mentioned with the Minnesota RØKKR kind of lineup change with Major Maniac because of roles going on the bench, it was not anything to do with his individual performance. Great player, just wrong role for what we needed. Now you have LA Thieves benching Slasher King. So haven't I been saying the whole time, yeah, man, you can't count LA Thieves out because the leadership of Slasher, they're going to figure it out. Well, here's what they figured out. They benched him. They bring on Draza, who they didn't want to elevate at the beginning of the season. They didn't even want to elevate him after Temp really wasn't working out. But now they say, hey, Kenny, since you're probably the highest individually skilled, maybe most versatile player on the team, let's put you at the main AR position and let's bring in Draza. So explain like I'm 5, gentlemen, because I've never seen this. They have no main AR in their team. They just have one that's dressing up like one, really. So, like, Kingdom, what do you make of it? Do you think this can work? Do you think it's going to be a travesty? Like, obviously, Kenny's a very talented player, but are you getting his true... Like, are you going to be able to reach his true skill ceiling at that position? We're going to find out, but what are your thoughts, Kingdom?
Oh, this is a hard call. I feel like they could have brought up Draza in the past, especially if they're gonna put, I don't know what they're gonna put him on, but it sounds like a second AR. I guess, it might be chalked. I mean, to be honest, this might be one of those opportunities. IKON used to say, like towards the beginning of Stage 2, like there's a lot of these great challengers teams. You could just drop your team and pick up a whole. Nobody would think that would be a conversation for the LA Thieves, but what we are seeing,
Westar Thieves or something,
right? Well, what we're seeing, Westar changes every 5 minutes, but it's like what we're seeing in the league is this. it's kind of like there aren't any real one for one trades. Like there's no superstar trades. There's no trading Slasher to the Surge for Octane or anything like that happening where you just try to shake it up.
Wait, can that happen? Because that'd be sick.
Yeah, you
That'd
probably
be
know more
kind of
than me.
nasty.
Like,
I
well,
don't, bro. I don't. I should probably. I don't keep up that close attention to the rules. I let the coaches and front office handle all that stuff. I'm
well,
pretty sure there's like certain roster. Actually, I don't know the trade rules. I know there's certain roster cuts. Like you have to say your roster a certain amount of days before competition, but I don't
right.
know if you can trade. I don't know how that works.
Well, with the performances of the young guns that have come in the league over the last 2 years, Mac, Standy, Insight, Diamond Con, like you, Paul X, like you honestly, it's weird to say this, but it's what's happening right now in the league is that it's probably a good look and a good opportunity to try someone that is a little more wet behind the ears, probably will take direction. But the new thing that's happening, which you saw the Minnesota RØKKR do, is they learned some stuff from Standy, picked it up, and improved on their gameplay. Like they let him add to their team. And when it comes to the Thieves, you could tell by watching body language, Venom was in no way, shape, or form comfortable. Like, this is just what I think from watching. Speaking up and going against Austin and saying, like, he's not going to speak up against Slasher and be like, I don't think we should push that. I think we played that wrong. I think we need to actually.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
I don't see that
He's
happening.
like a very strong personality. It feels like it's either Slasher's way or the highway, and the 100 Thieves is choosing the highway, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and you look at the teams like, one of the best teams in the league, the Dallas Empire. Like, they have 3 guys that still currently will receive leadership from Crimsix. They're down for that. They're okay with it. Look at the New York Subliners, one of the most consistent teams in the league. They've got 3 guys, younger guys, newer to the league guys that are going to listen to whatever Clayster tells them, 3-time champion, been in the league forever, since the ponytail. Like, they're going to listen to him. And so I honestly think with these LA Thieves, who in the world is going to direct this team now? Like, and yes,
TJ
they're all
Haley,
good.
Man, you never know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, who would have predicted? I mean, to IKON's, detriment, who would have predicted what happened with Standy? Like, who would have honestly? Even on this show, we're like, well, like, the best thing would be if we just get some reps in. And it's like, Standy's like, no, the best thing would be if I 3-0'd Optic Gaming. What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude, it was no one excited. I mean, even me, the most optimistic purple Kool-Aid RØKKR believer employee number 2, did not think we were going to come out in 3-0 Optic. I predicted 3-2, all right? I didn't predict we were going to win, but hey, I'm a homer.
So I'll say that, honestly, the Thieves could not win. They could lose to Paris first round and be done. And they're going to get past that little 5th place safe spot that they've had because of their placing in the first major and the wins they picked up. They're not safe anymore. RØKKR are going to pass them. Gorillas are probably going to pass them. They may even get passed by like the Ultra. It just depends on where these people place. The Surge might go on an LB run. Like, I honestly believe that the Thieves could be 8th or 9th place easily at the end of this major. And then that's why I'm saying it might be chalk. What do? You're a nade shot. You're not going to champs like that. And so I don't know if you implode. So I don't know.
Seeing these, we talk about it, right? With playoffs this year, only the top 8 teams even get into the playoffs to have that chance to play at champs. You're right. I mean, you saw us. Like, we saw that stuff was not going the way we needed it to go or wanted it to go. We tried a couple different looks. It wasn't working. So we had to, change the rules, bring someone new on. And it's getting, I know it feels so early because it's stage 2. There's 5 stages. It's freaking like April. Let's relax, MiDNiTE. But no, man, these points mean so much. Like you said, seeing 100 Thieves sitting at 50.
Look at Atlanta FaZe's points.
In fifth place. Dude, yeah, Atlanta FaZe is 100% points. IKON, what do you think what do you think will happen to LA Thieves now? And do you think that they made the right, I'm putting you in the hot seat, do you think they made the right decision benching their IGL? I think he's pretty damn consistent.
One of the best players in the history of the game.
Seriously.
Easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look at this overall, and first thing that I'll say is that Draza and Hollow, when they came in last year for OGLA, that's when we really saw OGLA kind of pick up their performances. The
Mm-hmm.
biggest story all of last year for me was just the inconsistency with TJ and Kenny. It's like sometimes they would come out and drop 1.3s and look like superstars, and sometimes they wouldn't. So that to me still exists, although Kenny is by far their best player when it comes to stats and how he performs match in and match out. That's without question. I it's tough to say that a team might be better without Slasher, because when it just comes from a pure talent standpoint, that doesn't really make any sense. But Draza's been playing really well. He was a difference maker last year when he came in for OGLA. As soon as Draza and Hollow came in last year, that's when we started to see OGLA make their run. That's where we saw them one round, one kill away from beating the Huntsman and getting to championship weekend and champs. So when I look at this overall, it's crazy to think that this team might be better without Slasher. But right now, I just feel like there's so much up in the air when it comes to them. And the other thing, because you guys mentioned CDL points a little bit, at the end of stage one, I remember saying, like, if Minnesota has a good stage, like maybe they can get somewhat close to LA Thieves, but I don't think it's capable, or they were capable at that point in time of overtaking them. And now as we look, there's only, I mean, LA Thieves had a terrible stage, and they're only 10 points ahead of Minnesota, 10 points ahead of LAG, and 30 points ahead of Florida, and 30 points ahead of Toronto, 30 points ahead of Paris. So now all of a sudden, like, it's kind of danger time, right? If they have another poor stage, they're going to find themselves in 10th place or 11th place. And oh, by the way, some of the teams that are ranked underneath them, like Seattle looks like an entirely different team.
That was a nasty match versus RØKKR on what was it, Saturday? God,
Yeah.
they played well. Dude, Pristini is on form, and that's scary. Right? So it's like, and that, like, I don't, like, you saw how much Surge struggled in stage one, but then the same people on the roster, but something improved. So we know it's possible to improve. So it just makes you wonder, like, what is going
I just
on
had a
with
thought.
LA Thieves that it's not working? What you got?
Well, so you heard it here first. What if this? Okay, so what if there is a potential to get Octane to the LA Thieves? And here's
That
what
would
I'm
be
saying.
nasty.
The LA Thieves, if you put Octane on that team, that's their main AR. He's playing with his homies. He's playing with Nate Shot. He's underneath the banner. They're going to champs. Like that fifth place, he could help them maintain that. Like and look where Seattle is. These guys can play as good as they want. It's going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the year just to get in top 8. Like, and you're not fighting against easy teams. You're fighting against teams that are retooled, reassessed. They've got new players, and the Gorillas, who probably are one of these teams that rumored like their roster's not going to change no matter what. They're just, this is your roster. Do your best. The Gorillas are like, okay, we'll do our best. We're world champions. We've done this before. Let's just grind it out. They might keep a spot in the top 8. So Seattle are in a tough spot. And if you're Seattle and you can kind of get rid of an asset, I don't know how that all works. Like you were talking about earlier. I was going to say,
if I'm Seattle, there is no way I'm trading Octane. Even now, even at, like, especially now, actually, after that improvement, you built your team this year around that guy. And now they're starting to catch momentum. There's no way. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how trade works, and I probably should. But unless Nate Shot rolls up in his whatever car, G-Wagon, BMW.
Just gives him one.
No, he has a Tesla
gives
now.
Him a
He's
G-Wagon.
rolling up in the Tesla, and he just shelling out cash. He brings Slasher out of the trunk. Like, I don't know that
drops them a Twitter follow.
I don't know if you're Seattle that you accept that trade. I mean, you built your team around him. There's no way I would trade him.
I'll play devil's advocate real quick.
Hell
I know
yeah.
that we're high on Seattle, and they have been looking much better, but they've got 30 CDL points. They're not getting the production, even with the increase from Pristini. They're not getting the production from Looney that they need to compete with these teams.
I was going to say, if anything, they got to pick up someone else but you could move anybody but Octane and Pristini.
Yeah. Wouldn't you feel that way about Slasher though? Wouldn't you have said that about Slasher yesterday?
I do. And I do. Like, I don't know how you replace Slasher. adequately.
that's
Like Kenny is a
tough.
great player, but as far as in-game leader and main AR, like, all right, Icon, I'll let you finish your thought, but I have a whole other rabbit hole that I'm going to go down.
No, yeah, I was just going to finish by saying they've got 30 CDL points, and their wins are against Paris, London, and Florida. So
Yikes.
I get
True.
that, you know, they're
Yikes.
starting to perform better, and Pristini's coming along, and Gunless looks like a top 4 or 5 flex, and Octane, although he hasn't been playing to the level that he was playing last year, he definitely has the potential to get there. But I still just feel like even though they're playing better, once they got to map 5 against Minnesota, it was pretty much a wash, right? That was not a close map
chalk.
5 in that Miami S&D. So I just
Thank
feel like
goodness.
until they start to get more consistent play out of their SMGs, I don't see how they keep up with, you know, the 2 SMGs from Minnesota all of a sudden who are playing fantastic, and the Simp and Abizis and the Huke and the like how, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's room for improvement there, but how
Tough
how do they bring up another 40 CDL points to get into that top 6 or so? It seems like a long way to go.
Very valid points. And as much as we're saying, oh, now's the time to make a change, there's only top 8, like now I'm about to say, well, there's a lot of time still, kind of. But it really depends on, like, the teams ahead of Paris, Toronto, Florida, LAG, RØKKR, Thieves, like, how do those teams perform relatively, right? So what I'm going to be looking for, I mean, yeah, sheesh, Seattle's down in the losers bracket for this major too. They got a lot, like, this is their prove it time, right? Like, I think if Seattle doesn't prove it and make a big splash, drown them out, whatever their thing is in the lower bracket, I think you'll see a team change, but it won't be Octane. That's for dang sure. Or
it'll be an
Gunless.
SMG
Or Pristini. I'm so sorry, Looney. Looney's a great guy, great player, but just, yeah, if they brought on like a cracked sub onto Seattle,
Yep.
sheesh, that could be nasty.
You put Standy on that roster. Think about the difference.
Whoa.
We would never say that.
I'm not saying Standy, but I'm saying if you put a Standy type player on that roster, it makes a big difference for them.
It's true. It's valid. That's definitely valid. I would never, but yes, that would be crazy. Yeah. So like, if you're LA Thieves, back to that, I wanted to touch on these tweets from JCap. If you guys don't know, JCap, world champion, Call of Duty champ, MVP, all this crazy stuff. Love JCap. Just an incredible COD player, current coach for LA Thieves. He came out on Twitter, which is always not a good place to go to vent your feelings about other people's opinions, but he says the narratives that still exist about COD are pretty hilarious and outdated. COD has evolved in a similar way to basketball. It's basically positionless, and you need to be able to adapt and play any situation with any gun. I 100% get what he's trying to say here, right? Like, if you're nasty at COD and you're nasty with basically any weapon, like, there's really no need for roles or positions. I couldn't disagree more.
He's a coach?
Yeah, he is a coach, current coach. Like, case in point, Minnesota RØKKR, make a role change, position change, whatever you want to call it. Way different production. Like, I don't know how you could watch the things we've watched with newer players coming on to the scene and changing the pacing of these teams. Like, how can you say that I mean, I get what he's trying to say. I do. Like, part of me is always like, yeah, I guess, I could see what he's trying to say, but I just can't imagine how you could say COD is positionless. Like, Aches made a great point. He says, you think RCDs and Abizi could switch roles and be equally as good as each other in their regular roles, which is obviously a very extreme example of what JCap is trying to say.
But that's a good point, because they're phenomenal players individually.
They're phenomenal players, and they will be good, but are you reaching their max skills ceiling?
No, you lower that team.
Positions. Yes, exactly. So
when Chicago took off last year, it's when the 2M4 meta came around, and RCDs and Formal were both able to run main ARs.
Yep.
That's when you really saw a change in Chicago's roster.
This sounds like Slasher versus JCap. I don't want to paint a narrative.
Yeah,
it is
I don't
COD,
either.
But this kind of sounds like he's vocally not, because you saw Venom's tweet earlier where he said we got to get things in order. Oh, he deleted it. He said he quoted the 100 Thieves tweet, because they talked about it on the flank, of course. He quoted the 100 Thieves tweet, and he said in the top, he was like, I'm glad, I'm looking forward to playing with Draza. We got to get things in order around here. And a lot of people were kind of
He shouldn't
salty.
say
They were like,
that.
exactly. They were like, "That's a
I get what he's
you
saying, but
just
you
got in the
shouldn't say
league,
that.
bro. Calm down."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what
And
they're saying. They're trying to be optimistic and like change the
right,
tempo of the team. I mean, obviously they need to
yeah.
make a change, but like I
But
don't know if
roles
I'd
are
say that.
important. Yeah,
I don't know if going to
roles are
Twitter right now
important.
is best for LA Thieves coaches and players. Maybe just keep to yourself until you
Let Nate
try
Shot
to
do the
figure out what's
tweeting.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
let Nate
is
Shot tweet.
this is what I'll say on the whole role thing, because I put out a video a couple days ago where I took like 3 or 4 before clips from Minnesota and 3 or 4 after clips from Minnesota and just kind of compared like how things are going differently for them. And in the before clips, I use Priesta a lot because he likes to play as a fast AR. And when you put an SMG in his hands, like just one of the clips, it showed him like coming off the break, going towards P1 on raid, and he would get inside the ring, but then like that's kind of where he would stay. Like he would be like on his side of ring and he'd try to just look for people that are coming towards him. But that's what you would expect out of a fast AR. When you're like a main slaying SMG, as soon as you get control of the hill, you have got to push out a little bit further and you've got to get past the 50-yard line and you've got to start killing your enemies as they come out of base in areas where you don't expect them to be. And that's exactly what you see from Standy. So it might be like, well, these are 4 really good players from Minnesota. And you know, of course, they can probably play whatever role, and Mike could probably play SMG, and Priesta can kind of play SMG, and we can maybe get by. But at the end of the day, when there's only 48 players in the league, like you have got to be in your role to really perform with the best of them. And I think that's the biggest difference. So you're taking Kenny, who likes to be a little bit more aggressive with an AR, and you're basically going to be posting up your best player as like an AR turret. I just don't see how it's going to work. And in the chat, Chris said, like, what about Zinni? I don't know if Methods is could have been
For
a
what
potential
team?
answer there for LA Thieves. Like if you take Methods and put him as the main AR
I
at LA Thieves.
I
he
was just
could
gonna
have been.
say like if you got, so if you're the GM, no, and no offense to Mud Dog, love Mud Dog. I'm not saying we like Mud
He's
Dog's
great.
brilliant, JCap's brilliant,
They
love
put
Nate
together a good
Shot.
team.
LA,
Yeah, it just didn't
they
work
put
out.
together a great team, and stuff is tough right now, and they're just trying to maneuver. I totally understand, but reckless speculation. If you were the LA Thieves GM, are you calling Zinni when your team or what? I don't know the circumstance, but if they're saying, hey, like we got to try this without Slasher, like instead of elevating Draza, do you call Zinni, or would then the backlash be so bad for not ever elevating Draza at the beginning of the year or when you first started having problems? Like, what do you do? What would you guys have done maybe if you were in their shoes? Like, and trust me, we don't know the answer here. I don't think anyone does, but just wanted to hear your opinions on what do you think maybe they should have done.
Only thing that I'll say is that I do not move Kenny. He's your best player. It's like taking your superstar and asking him to do something else so that maybe you can kind of fill the other roles and be above average. To me, it seems like if you want to bring in Draza, then bring in Draza for Venom. I mean, I know Venom's brand new to the league, but he hasn't been putting up the best numbers. So if you want to make that move, then have Methods at main AR or somebody that's been performing really well and is actually a main AR. Put them at main AR, keep Kenny at that flex role, and then make a change with your SMGs. But I don't know. The first thing I would do is I would not make a change to what Kenny does because he's like the battery that powers your team and gets them where they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, okay, go ahead, Kingdom.
Well, Call of Duty is tough, man.
It is.
JCap's
not everyone can win.
Yeah, JCap, exactly. JCap's tweet is not too far off base only because with meta changes, map set changes, bomb site changes, Control is about to be a whole new game with ticks rewarding seconds rather than you having to cap the whole point. Like, stuff changes in Call of Duty so often, and then the entire game is going to change at the end of the year. Like, so yeah, some years you have to play different. You know, there's honestly like some years a little recklessness, like when 5v5, a little recklessness and just flooding the point and not playing your life ever, just completely flooding it. Like that it might work. But in this COD, the teams that are winning, in my opinion, consistently are the teams that have the ice to hold out and win their map fives, you know, like Dallas has had to do so many freaking times. Teams that are good in search, like the RØKKR, like Dallas, like FaZe, like Optic when they win series and 3-0 people. And it's the teams that have chemistry and that have been together a long time. So when you're rebuilding like they're doing in for the Thieves, I don't think you can play just go do your thing, go play Call of Duty. This is way too good of a league. These are way too good of players. That might work against, I don't know. I'm having a hard time naming a team in our league that playing recklessly would work against, unless you're the Atlanta FaZe and you just are that talented. But they couldn't do that against lag, So, like, honestly, you have to play structured and know your role and stay in your role. And when you're switching up your team, the Minnesota RØKKR, the most genius thing they did is they talked as a team about what was missing, what was needed. They brought it in, and they believed that it definitely wasn't a 1-for-1 like you talked about. These are two, I mean, Standy and Major Maniac are two completely, wildly different players. But
Yes.
Standy's role on the team was needed so that everybody else could rise up to where
Right.
they
And so could,
to
and
their
Priesthood moved roles. So that's like a really good case. But like they
yeah.
felt, excuse me, they felt maybe that they weren't getting the production capable. Like we all know Priesthood is so capable. He's a superstar.
Right.
And so if you try to allow him to get in a comfort zone where he can be that and unlock that, and they did that by changing his role, right? He looked better, he looked more comfortable, his numbers are improving, like, and he's probably still not even hitting his skill ceiling there. So I don't know, it's real curious. It's hard to say. Yeah, I guess I should say it's really easy to sit back here and say, oh yeah, they should have done this and that. Like,
Yeah,
I
right.
honestly don't even know how trading works. Maybe they couldn't have even traded for Zinni, and I'm just talking out my butt. But hey, if I'm
No Zinni, no
if
Winnie.
I'm them, I agree with IKON. I do not move Kenny off of the role he is. Like, I am making sure that Kenny is most comfortable. Now, if Kenny is sitting there saying, hey, I'm a nasty main AR, here's case in point, like, let's try it. I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe they're at that point where they're trying to try it, but
they're trying
to
anything.
try it and then come out and say, well, it's positionless, I just don't know if that's a good look for them right now. But
No.
hey, man, maybe we're all wrong. What do I know? I mean, sure. I think JCap, Mud Dog, they know what they're doing over there. I think they're probably operating with within whatever guardrails they have. Because, like I said, I don't know what the trading situation is, but yeah, I don't know if I would have played it that way. But I'm a director of content and not a GM, so it's probably worth stating. I'm interested to see how they do. I kind of want them to like do better now, but I'm also like, I'm a major slasher fan. You guys know that. I've said every time about LA Thieves, like, they got slasher on the team. They're gonna turn it around, and like, you saw them do it last year with OGLA almost.
They're
You
in
see
position
other
for
teams. Yes, we'll see how it works out. It's a bold strategy, I guess. We'll see how it works out. So they will be playing up against Paris Legion on Wednesday. This will actually lead us nicely, gentlemen, into our well, wait, should we do power rankings first? Let's do power rankings and then predictions. How about that? I would love to know your guys' current power rankings. Shannon, if you want to put the actual rankings on the screen, shout out producer Shannon, look at her go. So this is the actual up-to-date CDL point standings as of Tuesday, April 6th. I think, yeah, major starts tomorrow, so this will start to shift already tomorrow. But, looking at this, coming into stage 2, you had RØKKR was top 9. Now we've slithered our way up to top 6. Love to see that, getting some dubs under our belt. And you still, like I said, like we talked about, we still have LA Thieves chilling in 5th just because of all the work off the back of stage 1 there. But yeah, like, when the guys are looking at the standings, where do you actually have the power rankings for the teams? For instance, is LA Thieves way below 5th? Is RØKKR above 6th? Kingdom, I'll let you rock first.
No.
You don't want to go first?
I'll go first.
I'll go first. Okay, you go first.
I'll go first. This
we'll
is
go
such
in top down Brady Bunch order.
Well, the top 6 is such a disaster, because it's like the Minnesota RØKKR recently beat Dallas and Optic, and
yeah, we did.
Subliners have more wins than anybody besides FaZe. So it's hard to put them in a position like. But am I going to pick the Subliners if they're going to go up against Dallas and Optic? Probably not. I might say 3-2 to Dallas or Optic. I mean, we'll see in our predictions what you guys say. I do think the LA Thieves are not top 6. This is a deceitful. These points are from like first stage, so I would say the LA Thieves are not top 6. I would say Atlanta FaZe. Oh, this is where it gets dicey. New York Subliners, Optic
I mean,
Chicago,
RØKKR beat
Dallas
both Dallas and
Empire.
Optic, so where
I
else could you
know.
possibly put them? You know,
Minnesota RØKKR. I'm putting you guys 4th or 5th. And so here's the deal with Minnesota RØKKR. Right now, if I'm doing like who's surging, well, then the Minnesota RØKKR are like the number 1 team that is right now pushing forward. And so but the woes still are in my head. You know, the losses are still there. They're still a part of my decision making. And so even though they had great recent victories, they did have to take Dallas to map 5. It's not like they 3-0'd them as well. If they would have 3-0'd both Optic and Dallas, maybe. And then they had to reverse sweep the Surge to get a W there. So, which was impressive. Impressive. So I'm going to say Atlanta FaZe, New York Subliners, Dallas Empire, Atlanta FaZe, New York Subliners, Optic Chicago's top 3, then Dallas Empire, Minnesota RØKKR, so close to Dallas. They probably could change all of this in the second round, this weekend. And then I'm going all the way to like maybe the Gorillas above the Thieves. I just have no confidence right now in the Thieves.
I mean, didn't they beat the Thieves too? Like they literally beat them. And they beat FaZe. Gotta bounce them up.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, with lag beat, I didn't.
Shout out Silly, shout out Assault, the
going
OG
off,
RØKKR roster. They're going off, bro.
So LA Thieves to me are below. They're above Ultra. They're below the Mutineers, above Ultra. Mutineers are their own mess as well. With the
they're so interesting, right? You do not know what look you're gonna get out of the Mutineers when they play.
Then I might say, and this is just for my power rankings. I might say Paris over Ultra because of their what did Paris get, a 3-1 over the Mutineers, and then maybe like Surge, Ultra, and then ending it off with the Royal Ravens.
Damn, poor London. Yo, our power rankings are pretty similar. I'll run through mine, and then I'll let IKON probably has a much more educated and thought-out opinion.
He's going to have RØKKR top 4. I feel it coming.
Oh, dude, I got RØKKR number 1, baby. What are you talking about? Let's go. No, man, okay, look at the best team in the game, Atlanta FaZe. Yes, they dropped to LAG, and might I add, last week on the podcast, I did predict Atlanta FaZe to lose. I did predict that they would lose to the Ravens because I'm a psycho. But that really wasn't having much to do with the Ravens. I just predicted that they would lose because they're going to have taken their foot off the gas. They're all good in their seed. Like, there's just I know how these players are. When there's not much on the line, it's hard to get that fire. Now, would they have ever wanted to lose to LAG? No. I'm not saying they don't care. I'm just saying I had a hunch, and my hunch was right. So, brownie points for me. Atlanta FaZe still number 1, though. They're nasty. They took a game off, whatever. Not to take anything from man, you can't really skate through this without dissing a team. Not to take anything away with LAG is a great accomplishment, so good for them. But yeah, Atlanta FaZe, I got number 2, New York Subliners. They are scary. I am scared. They are nasty.
Consistent, yeah.
When Asim is on, I mean, they're all on. When Clayster's on, especially. The one thing I will say about New York Subliners, if Clay has a bad series, like think about it, if Clay has a bad series, they probably won't win. And that's scary because Clay is amazing and he's very good, but he can't always be crazy Clayster. But maybe he can. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I got FaZe, Subliners. I got Optic over Dallas. I got RØKKR over Dallas.
Dang.
I got RØKKR up there, man. Hey, man, we beat him fair and square twice this year.
No, that's good stuff. Yeah, they're the kryptonite for the Dallas Empire.
For the record, twice. With the old roster and new. We just got their number. And then, so what did I say? Yeah, Optic, RØKKR, Dallas. Who's next? Shoot, yeah, let's go Gorillas. I like them. I like Silly and Assault over there. They're doing good things. They got a great coaching staff as well. I think they're going to keep providing trouble. It's just about finding their consistency, I think. Florida Mutineers, man. Okay, listen, I know I'm crazy, guys, and I'm probably just going off of so much recency bias. I'm putting Surge over Florida. Wait, did they lose to them? They did, right? See, this is why I shouldn't do power rankings. Once I get to the bottom half, I'm like, I don't know. I do think Surge are right now a better team than Florida Mutineers. When they're on, I guess I don't. Ooh, dude, I
They're
want
the
them
same
to play.
team to me. They're both like
They are.
stupid talented, but you can't call it. It's so
Yeah, you
hard.
really
Missing
can't
Like,
call
SMG
them.
production.
They are both
yeah.
missing SMG production, so they're kind of similar teams. But I will say, I do think Gunless and Octane are, when they're on form, they're scarier even than Awakening, End of Skies. So I would put Surge. I know it's biased. I know they're 3-8, but man, I'm high up on them right now. They look nasty against good teams this last week. That was not an easy Group B, so their match win doesn't really reflect, I think, their true skill potential. So then I got Florida. Then I got Paris, I got Ultra, no Zinni, no Winnie, and I got London. F in the chat for the Brits. And then I think that's all the teams, man. Listen, my first half there was real well thought out, and then we got a little loss on the last half. So, Icon, bring me your power rankings. Where do you have teams and why? Especially kind of looking ahead. Well, looking obviously at what just happened, but even just where your power rankings going into majors majors 2. Sorry.
Yeah, so I feel like there's really like 3 groups, and I feel like there's a team in each group that makes things kind of difficult. And I just had like a bunch of conversations today on this, so I've kind of seen like a lot of different points on these power rankings. But first, when it comes to the top 4, I think the top 4 in standings are also the top 4 in power rankings, but maybe not necessarily in that order. And I think the thing that messes things up is, where do you put New York at this point in time? Like, how high do you put New York? I put them as second in my power rankings, but what I was reminded of many times today is that we have to remember that while they're surging in a Group A, which was by far the weaker group.
True.
When it came to Stage 2. So they got a win over Toronto. They got a win over London. They got a win over LA Thieves. So, like, how impressive are those wins? Whereas on the flip side of that, when you look at Optic, they're beating Dallas and they're beating Seattle, which is a team that's kind of surging right now. And although they did get smoked by RØKKR, that was a really weird match just to watch overall. But Optic are still beating some of those top squads. And when New York had their one chance to play another top squad, they lost to Atlanta in pretty convincing fashion. So that's the kind of thing for me, is that, yes, New York looks great and they're playing really well. But if you look at the teams that they beat, how many of those teams that we just mentioned are on the right side of the screen here when it comes to the standings?
They're freaking pop stomping, bro. It's not fair.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm joking.
So that's interesting. I put them at 2, and then I have Optic at 3 and Dallas at 4. I do think if you're Dallas, things can be getting a little dicey here. If they come out and they don't have a strong showing this major, I think they're one of those teams that could very easily fall in that middle of the pack range, and I don't know if they'll be able to recover. I will say that the day after they won champs and they made that roster move to move Clay, I thought that was a huge mistake.
Same.
Not that Crim's a bad player. Crim's definitely a good AR, but with all that Clay's been able to do on New York, imagine him as that main AR still with Hugh, Shotzi, and Illy. That would be, I mean, I feel like if that was their roster, we'd be having discussions every single week about who's number 1, Dallas or Atlanta.
I think they definitely zigged when they should have zagged on that.
I think they're the same team. 10-5, 9-5. They lose to the same teams. They beat the same teams. New York and Dallas are the same team. One has Crim, one has Clay. Like, literally, you got 3 young guys running around going crazy, and you're going to call them to beat everybody except Atlanta and Optic. Those 2 teams are so similar. If you switched Clay and Crim, you might get similar results. They might be just as scary.
I don't know, man. I disagree.
I disagree too. Clay's a much better player right now.
Well, right now, yes, but he's playing. It's where he's playing. It's the animosity and everything driving through Clay's veins.
True, like if
the
Clay
desire
had been
to beat
the
Crim
into one. Yeah,
exactly. It would have been, because Crim would have been just as angry as Clay is right now, and he would have been like, I'm just gonna have to come out here and prove something. Like, so I guess what I was trying to say though is, I think no matter what, if you put Clay on the Dallas Empire and you put, let's say, Crim is on the New York Subliners, which would never happen, I don't think that's where he would have went if he wouldn't have got Dallas. But there's no way
I think he
Hafter
would
was
have
going to.
retired.
Yeah.
I think he would have retired if Dallas.
As the
I'm
GOAT,
just
just went out as the GOAT, like, peace out.
I'm talking sideways. I'm talking on my butt this episode, and I got so many bad takes. But really,
But
I think he might have.
I don't think what I wanted to say, I guess, is I think Dallas. I'll wait till you're done and we do predictions. Then I'll talk about what I think of Dallas. I see them staying in the top 6 for the rest of the year, even if they,
Dallas will be
underperform
nasty
in a
all
couple
year.
majors. Yeah,
They're
nasty enough to make it to champs. Yeah.
I'm going to say if they have Clayster, they are not just a simply, they'll be in the top 6 all year. I cannot
You have
believe.
number 2 over pretty much.
They're like going like crazy with FaZe all year, and then they're flipping back and forth 1 and 2. I think if they kept Clay, but it's real easy to say now with hindsight. And I mean, the year's not over. We're only in stage 2. I do think that Dallas will be competitive all year, and we look back to last year. They had kind of a slow start, and then they really came to form at the end of the year. So we'll have to see. I do think that Subliners and Empire, I do agree, they do beat similar teams. They both have, I'm pretty sure the series they've played against each other have been insane. Like, it's going to be competitive all year between them. But if I'm looking at, who's the better, maybe it's recency
in position
bias,
you're right, it's Clayster.
Crim is so impressive just career-wise, but just I'm talking the last year, Clayster is just insane. Even the last 2-3 years, Clay's insane.
Sorry to totally kill your power rankings, Icon.
No, that's good. But Clayster has every intangible. He's the best IGL. He's the best motivator. I mean, he's got all that stuff. There are many times where, that matchup, actually, the Stage 1 major matchup at the grand finals between FaZe and Dallas, every time you would see Dallas lose a match, I remember looking at their faces and they weren't even really having a conversation. And if Clayster is in that squad, he's going nuts after they lose a match. That's just who he is. So we'll get back to that at some other point in time. The middle of the pack, I think it's RØKKR and LAG. So I think RØKKR's there at 5, LAG is at 6. And where things
5? Sorry. Sorry, this is your power rankings.
Where things get interesting is, and I had many discussions on this today, is how far do you drop LA Thieves? If you think about the 12 rosters that are in the CDL, they are the team that is the most up in the air, right? I mean, what's going on right now with Slasher, and then, we covered it all, Temp coming in, and then Draza, and then Venom, and then all sorts of, they're kind of all over the place. So I elected to just put them as that next team as 7, because I don't know. They by far, they clearly had the worst stage 2, but I still feel like they have one of the best flex players in the game. There's no doubt about it. That might change a little bit with the dropping of Slasher, because now,
now he's an AR, main AR.
Yeah, so I guess if you asked me this now, it probably would have changed a little bit from earlier. And then when you get down towards the bottom, the other team that really throws a wrench into thing is how much do you believe in Seattle? Because when it comes to their standings overall, they're 11th, but are they better than...
They're the nastiest 11th ranked anything that I've ever seen.
Are they better than Paris? Are they better than Toronto? Are they better than Florida? I don't know. I feel like...
Any given day, maybe.
Any given day, they can absolutely beat some of those teams that are just barely above them. But we made this point earlier. Their wins, even though they have looked more impressive in stage 2, are against Florida and Paris. So when they get into a match with Minnesota, they lose. When they get into a match with Dallas, they lose. And that kind of seems to be what's happening with them at the moment. So we'll see where exactly they end up. They're going to play the winner of LAG and Florida. So that's their match on Thursday. So that'll be pretty telling, right? If they're able to win that match and then move on from there, I think you could clearly then, if Seattle beats the winner of LAG and Florida in Major 2, now I think you start putting them in the 7, 8, 9 range or somewhere in there. But on a day-by-day basis, I'm not sure they're better than Florida. I think it's what are you going to get from your SMGs one day because Florida easily has a top flex and a top AR. And what are they going to get from their SMGs? Seattle has a top AR and a top flex and Gunless and Octane. Pristini looks great, but what are you going to get out of Looney? I just feel like all these teams are very similar. That's what happens when you get down to like the bottom 4, bottom 5, is that, okay, you've got pieces somewhere, but all of these teams have a question mark somewhere. So my bottom 4 would probably be, or bottom 5 would probably be Florida, Toronto, and then Seattle, and then I would put Paris and London down towards the bottom. I think London's improving. I think Paris could easily come out and get a victory over LA Thieves, but that could go the other way also. I mean, that LA Thieves roster could make plays here. And by the way, it would be very easy for either of those teams, Paris or LA Thieves, to come out and get 2 easy wins at the beginning of this major, because whoever wins that matchup is going to be playing London. So we could be all up in arms today about LA Thieves, but they could come out and they could beat Paris, and then they have a match against London, and now all of a sudden they've started with 2 wins. And
yeah, but would you say they were any better beating those 2 teams? Like, honestly,
I have a question, and I'm half asking it because I don't know, and half asking because maybe someone in the chat's wondering. Because RØKKR automatically plays top 6 and has number 1 seed, after the conclusion of Major 2 tournament, we will automatically get points even if we lose, right? Or do we? Okay.
Yeah, you automatically. So,
I don't know
how many
can't just
points,
get like gypped out of points based on like lower bracket easy matches.
We're not anticipating any of that. Like, the RØKKR are going to win at least one of their matches. If the RØKKR drop it, okay, think about it like that. I mean, how do they even do that? But like, if the RØKKR drop into the losers bracket, they're the scariest team in the losers bracket right now, like immediately.
For real.
If the Minnesota RØKKR were in that losers bracket, I would predict them to beat every single team in there. And so
that's why we're going to win Major 2, baby.
Their only competition is the teams that are up there with them at the top, in my opinion. And so when it's going to be tough is that all of those first matches, Chicago and Ultra is going to be bananas. Subliners and Empire is going to solidify who's top 2, who's top 3. If Empire lose that, and I mean, then they're the scariest team in the losers bracket. The funny thing, and I guess I'll say this because I know we're going to do predictions real quick and get out of here. I do Clayster gas, but I also avoid Empire hate. It's my 2 things that I do in this league.
But it's so fun.
I know. I know. Crim6 is the villain. He's Porter. You know.
I love Crim. But he's insane.
Here's the thing. Like, I went back and looked at like the last major, and yeah, it's not LAN and whatever people want to say, but it's like, you know, Optic 3-0's New York, Dallas 3-2's Optic, New York 3-0's Optic, and then Dallas 3-0's New York, you know, to get them out of the tournament. I believe there was a reverse sweep over New York earlier in the year by Dallas. It is like these 2 teams match up, in my opinion, really, really as well as any 2 teams in the league, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
now,
I can agree there.
The best matches we've seen is Optic versus Dallas at both, like the one we just saw and the one at the first major. Ridiculously, like I those matches have all like. I'm thinking Dallas FaZe, sorry, from the first one. But I think this match, New York Subliners versus Empire, is going to prove who's really there. But here's the deal. These are teams like Empire, Optic, and FaZe. None of them are thinking any kind of roster change. Like, not even remotely. Like, it wouldn't matter what happened at this tournament, in my opinion. If FaZe lost out of the tournament, didn't win a single match, they're not trading. Chicago, same thing. Empire, same thing. And that's just my opinion. I think that they believe in the team they've built in Dallas. Chicago believes the same thing. FaZe believes the same thing. They're in for the long haul. I think what the Minnesota RØKKR have right now is a Dallas Empire that's on fire. That's what they feel like as a team. You know, like, I feel like when I'm predicting them to play somebody these days with Standy, I feel like I'm predicting like when Illy, Shotzi, and Hook are on fire and Crim's doing his thing, and that team is just so hard for people to beat. Like, that's what I feel like with the Minnesota RØKKR right now, and why they match up so well against the Empire, I think, is because they have a similar methodical, like, well-coached play style. And it's important, like, their roles and how they play and their comfortability and their communication. You're never going to get a listen in with the Minnesota RØKKR where it's like, wow, they don't even know what they're talking about. You know, like to get that from the Thieves before they even did trades was weird. You know, it's weird for teams that good to not have good comms. And so I guess I can't hate on the Empire. I think they get, you know, beat up a little bit by everybody except for all the other pros, because I think in scrims they do their job well, and then if they can show up, you know, and they're one of those teams that can show up similar. Now they do not need to learn how to play search and destroy, so we'll see what happens in the major, because if they can't play search, it's pretty much chalked. They're going up against New York, and if they beat them, they're going up against the RØKKR, and if they beat them, they're going up against FaZe. Like they're just going to keep running into good search teams, so they got to figure it out.
Yeah. I think so. Let's hop into the prediction section. So usually, because we know all the matches ahead of time, we're able to say, yeah, you know, let's do all the predictions. I think, guys, we can only really predict rounds 1 and 2 here, like through the matches that we know, and then maybe, you know, the night before the next matches, we do have a spreadsheet, ladies and gentlemen, that we're keeping track of our predictions. We're keeping score. The winner gets I don't know yet, haven't thought of the prize, but it'll be cool. Maybe we'll get like a champ's belt or something like that, a little ring.
Ooh.
That'd be kind of cool. We'll go big. That's coming out of your budget, right, Simba? That's
RØKKR
my cat.
throne.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so looking at the matchups here, God, I kind of do, like, I was ragging on LA Thieves earlier because of how the hell do you bench Slasher, but like I feel bad for them, and I don't know if they can beat Paris, who's they're been streaky. Like when they're hot, they're pretty hot, they look good, and then when they're cold, they're like, ooh, what happened? So who knows what Paris we're gonna get? So I'll go first here. Wednesday, April 7th, first match in losers bracket, Paris versus LA Thieves. I'm taking Paris 3-1. I'm not sure which map LA Thieves will steal, but I think they'll just get one, and then Paris will walk on. What do you think, Kingdom? Let's go. Should we go in order match by match? We love that.
That's fine. Sure. IKON almost called you me. Do you know if is the new control rules in place for this major? Like the way the ticks work and everything?
I'm pretty sure that any update is coming in the next
after
stage
the major
to try to. Don't quote me on this,
because that's how they did it first. Yeah, first.
Yeah,
stage,
your girl's not paying that much attention to like league ops, but
okay. So
I believe they're keeping everything uniform for stage 2. So whatever update they're playing on has been the same update.
I think control is going to be, if they did switch it, it would be a crazy cluster, because of you could just switch points. You could cap one at A and then switch over to B, and then you could switch back and forth. You could do whatever you wanted because you're getting time for every tick. But if it's staying the same, I'd say Paris 3-1.
Nice.
I'm not.
Yeah,
LA another.
I agree with that. I don't have any confidence in this LA roster. Not saying that they don't come out and surprise us. I think I would have more confidence if they would have kept Slasher and then brought Draza in as an SMG and kept Kenny at flex. I feel like that's a roster that could have really made some moves, but maybe they will anyways. I mean, who knows? But this first matchup here, I'm going Paris also. I'll go 3-0. I don't think LA Thieves will win a map.
Sheesh.
That'll hurt, man. They're gonna they're gonna have 4 matches, 4 different teams. If that happens, they're gonna trade again. If they get 3-0'd by Paris,
they get 3-0'd by Paris. Nate Shot is coming on the lineup, confirmed. You heard it here first. So the second match on Wednesday, LA Gorillas versus Florida Mutineers. I mean, this is a weird one. LAG started super slow in stage 2. But man, they started heating up. They beat FaZe, the first team to take down the Juggernauts. Holy, silly, assault, pew pew. The whole other roster too, but just mostly those guys. I'm a big stan of them. Man, I do think Florida's nasty. Like when you have Awakening and Sky's frying, and if their subs can just produce where needed, like they can win easily. Both of these teams, you never really know who's going to show up on the day. So I'm going to go just Homer Hart vibe. LAG is going to take this 3-2. Hard to count them out after they beat FaZe, but, you know, who knows? I'm not really sure. Both of them, I mean, this is, you're starting in losers bracket, both teams fighting for their tournament life. It's going to be intense. I'm going to take LAG 3-2. Kingdom, who you got?
Same map count.
Hell yeah, we're on the same wavelength.
Skies has got to show up, man. If this team wants to be who they can be, he's got to, what is the commercial, like invest in his game? Like he's got to do that. Like it's Like we gotta see Skies like fry people. That's when this team wins.
I hope that
and-
he does, because I invested in Caesar Skies Bueno on my fantasy team this season. So I'm gonna need. I considered benching him, but I decided not to, and thank goodness for that. But yeah, keep it up, man. I need the points, dude. I've been losing.
Yeah. So with this one's tough because when it comes to Florida got wins over Minnesota and Optic. When it comes to LAG got a win over Atlanta. So kind of both these teams have proven that they can beat really anybody. So it just depends on like which team is going to show up. But I think when it comes to hardpoint, there's probably an advantage there from Florida. But I think in SND and control, that advantage flipped back to LAG. So I think this is going to go a map 5. And if it does, I think LAG has the S&D advantage. So I'm going to go 3-2 LAG here.
Let's go, God. Yeah, we're all synced up except
Let's
for
go.
IKON does not think LA Thieves will win a map. I love that. All right, up next to the easiest match to predict. New York Subliners versus Dallas Empire on Thursday. This is a winner's bracket round 1, so each team can afford to lose, but you never want to lose in round 1. This is an insane round 1 matchup. Definitely the most insane of the I actually can't believe this is how it shook out. Yeah, because they lost to Optic, they have to play Subliners. And I'll give my prediction. You guys, I mean, I was really high up on Subliners because, you know, they've been murdering lately, but you guys did make, you know, really good points about their group being quite a bit easier than Group B as it turned out. And I think Empire, like, they do not take losing well, and now they've had to take 2 L's in a row. That does not feel good. Or how I might be mixed up on my they basically lost more than they wanted to in stage 2. They're not feeling themselves right now. Yeah. They went 3-2, yeah. So I just can't remember the order that happened. But yeah,
I think they got to win between. I feel like
they might have. They might not have lost 2 in a row. But either way, you know, they're not happy with where they've landed because look at they've landed at top 3 in stage 2 Group B, and now they have to play New York. And I think they're going to come out looking different. I do think that their search and destroy has regressed a lot from last year. And when you're keeping a majority of, you're keeping the entire same world championship winning roster, I think it's unacceptable for your search and destroy to regress that bad. And I think they'll probably work on that as they have been, I'm sure, all year, but they'll probably really buckle down on it for majors too. And tournament Crim is a different Crim. I watched it for years at Optic, right? Like, he just turns it on, dude, and it's scary. So I think Dallas Empire will beat Subliners 3-1. I don't know. Maybe it goes map 5, but I'm going to go 3-1. They might lose the search, but man, yeah, if they don't lose the search, it's 3. I'm going to guess 3-1 Dallas. They're going to look nasty. IKON, who you got? Or sorry, I'll keep going in the same order. Should we change the order or keep it in the same order? Someone direct the content here.
IKON, go first this time. I want to hear your thoughts. I already know what I'm going to say. So
this is what I'm going to say. Are you ready for this? I'm going to say Dallas is going to win this matchup so that Minnesota can beat Dallas in their first matchup. That's what I'm going to say. Because I think if New York makes it through, I think that's a really tough matchup for Minnesota.
Of the stage, though. Come on.
That would be
New York versus
ROKKR.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Dallas here. I'm going to give them my little bit of voodoo here. Again, the only 2 teams that they lost to is they lost in map 5 to Optic, and they lost in map 5 to Minnesota. So it's not like they're getting smoked. And we have to keep in mind that New York played a bunch of people from the bottom 6 other than Atlanta per se. So with this one, I'm gonna go with Dallas. I do think it'll probably go map 5. If New York wins this, I will not be shocked whatsoever. But if Dallas wins it and it sets up a Minnesota versus Dallas matchup in that winners round, would that be winners round 2? I think that would be a beneficial matchup for Minnesota rather than having to play New York there.
Does Dallas have have they been 3-0'd at all this year?
I don't think so.
They got 3-0 by FaZe, by Atlanta.
Well, okay.
Did they?
But have they been 3-0'd by a
human?
Have they been 3-0'd by a human team with less than 40 map wins this year?
No.
I don't think so.
They've only lost to Minnesota, Atlanta, and Optic. Those are the only losses.
Here's the thing I was going to say.
The league right there.
Is that's my point. Like the Dallas Empire yes, they lost to Minnesota 3-2. The same team that beat
Twice.
Optic the day before 3-0 twice, right? Then they 3-0'd the Mutineers to kind of get their, their groove back, and they looked good in that. And then they played against Optic, and honestly, they iced up in that hard point. Like they just got smoked off the map in that second hard point, and then the search, they shouldn't have played them on checkmate. That just was a mistake. But I think that this Dallas team, they're still one of the top teams on the planet, and they don't let you beat them by 3-0. And this statistic that people have out there that FaZe, RØKKR, and there's one other team that has just bamboozled Dallas when it comes to search consistently, and then versus every other team in the league, they have a winning record in search, like rounds and everything. But they're one of the best teams in the league when it comes to game 5, best teams in the league when it comes to round 11. They're just still Dallas. And so I would say kind of the same stuff you said, MiDNiTE. And I'm going to say, I want to say 3-1 like you did. I love New York, but I don't think they've been able to beat Dallas this year. No matter how good they've looked. They almost did. In that first stage, it would have been amazing.
Am I tripping?
Dallas reverse swept them.
Oh, wait,
yeah,
no, I guess New York's reverse swept someone else. Sorry, guys, my memory is just nuts.
New York's gotten
gotten
two reverse sweeps this season, I believe.
But not on Dallas.
I don't think so. Somebody will tell us in the chat.
No, they lost 3-0 to Dallas.
Yeah. So my thing is, I think the matchup for some reason works in Dallas's favor. I think the young guys on New York are still kind of getting, and maybe it's just DiamondCon, rookie, just getting into that swing. These guys are well-oiled machines, and they will switch mid hardpoint, mid control, mid search to try to beat you, just like FaZe will do. And it works in their favor a lot versus every other team other than FaZe and the Minnesota RØKKR, and now Optic. And so I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1. I think they might lose the search, unfortunately, but I'm going to say 3-1.
They might. I mean, I know I predicted Dallas to win, and maybe that this is a little bit off from IKON's thoughts, but I actually would prefer that RØKKR plays New York. Maybe that's crazy, but if you beat Dallas twice, they're really starting to get to know us. All right, they're really
the whole league
starting
is,
to
everybody's watching Standy VOD.
they're watching VOD, but they've had now the experience of playing and losing to us, and it's really hard to beat a team twice. It's even harder to beat a team 3 times, especially 2 in close succession. So I would almost rather have our new look roster play up against New York. But I don't think that's going to happen. And honestly, both matchups are very scary because, as we mentioned earlier, New York and Dallas are very similarly structured. They're both well coached. They're both freakish on any given day. So I don't want to play either of them. But if I had to pick, I would want to play New York. But I think we'll end up playing Dallas. So that was well, bring me back there, Shannon. We're going to keep going through these predictions. I know we got winded on that long. We had to go long on that one. That's a whole match to break down in and of itself. So let's look at the next match. We got Optic Chicago versus Ultra. 3-0 Optic, Great Wall. No Zitty, no Winnie. Queen of the North. You've heard it here first. I'm sorry. I love Ultra, but not really.
Kleenex is going to drop a 40 bomb in an L. Unfortunately, he dropped 39 in a loss.
I do have Kleenex on my fantasy team as well, so shout out Kleenex.
Playing well, but can't get a W. Yeah. 3-0 Optic.
No Winnie, man. Too. Insight's great. Insight is very good. I mean, we talked about this last episode. Like, I don't think they improved on Zinni by bringing on Insight. I just think they may have other issues.
Optic has to be the same Optic that 3-0'd Surge and the same Optic that had that ice versus Dallas. They have this tendency to get high on themselves, for lack of better terminology, and for some reason, what's the new term that that a lot of the pros are using? Like, they say that people are trolling in match, which means they're playing out of position because they think they're just going to beat a team, or like if Optic can't do that at all ever. Like, that's the thing that's kept FaZe ahead of everybody, is they're just always on mission and on point. And probably what lost the lag is they were trolling a little bit. And Optic can't do that even versus the Ultra. They need to take this tournament seriously and go for a W. Like, if Optic could get a win, a major win, they'd have to win over FaZe, which is almost impossible. But it would mean a lot. I think for the whole league, like, it would be one of the most watched matches in league history if they were up against FaZe in the grand final. But we want the Minnesota RØKKR to be there, so.
I mean, I think that's a great point. I think Optic was so recently humbled though that they might be like, "Yo, we can't slip back into that because that was not fun." So we'll see. I don't know. I think Optic still got it though. What do you think, IKON?
Yeah, I look at this. Listen, I'll come out and say I don't even really know how Toronto made it in the winners bracket. I mean, they beat London, they beat LAG, and they got a trip to the winners bracket. They were 2-3. I don't know. I mean, when I look at this, I think this is going to be a quick 3-0. I think after that, we'll see what happens with Toronto. But if you look ahead to that matchup, now all of a sudden you're going to have Atlanta versus Chicago in that winners round 2. But I mean, that'll be a phenomenal match. But when I'm looking at this one, I don't see how Toronto competes here. I think it's a 3-0 from Optic.
Yeah, the Thieves got them there, unfortunately, with their 1-4. That's how Toronto got in.
God dang it, Thieves! Come on. I'm playing it up. I like the Battle of the North angle. I like trash talking Toronto, but they're great people over there, and really good players. But yeah, I just see Optic just going nuts. I don't even know how we begin to try to predict these next matches because they're if and whens, right? We got London versus either Paris or LA Thieves. Based on all of our predictions, we think that's going to be Paris. So I guess let's theoretically predict, but our real
either
predictions
team beats
will go in
London
the
right
spreadsheet.
there, yeah.
Our real predictions will go in the spreadsheet for these next matches based on who actually wins. But let's just predict off our predictions now. Predictception. If London plays in our opinion, they're going to play Paris. Who wins? Is it Paris? London? I think Paris, but it's 3-2. I think they take them game 5. London's going to come out looking crazy, but Paris is going to ice up. What do you guys think?
Paris 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, I'll go Paris 3-1 too.
Nice.
I think London's coming along. I think they're much better than they were at the end of stage 1, but they're not quite there yet. They'll get there, just not yet.
Shannon, don't write these down. These are fake predictions. Our real predictions will come the day before when we know their opponents. But just for shits and gigs here, man, we got Seattle Surge versus either LAG or Florida. Did we all say LAG or just me?
We all did, I think.
My memory is so bad I can't remember what just happened 5 minutes ago.
I think we all said lag.
Okay, yeah. So we all said lag will make it. Seattle versus LA.
Ooh,
this is actually a fire match. That's a fire match. I mean, either like them playing Florida is a fire match too, but because they were in separate groups, I think Seattle versus LAG, like that's 2 pretty even keeled teams just going blow for blow. It's going to be kind of crazy. I think we say it a lot, but I think it depends on which teams of those you get that day, right? If you get top form Surge, I think they beat top form Gorillas. But if you get top form Gorillas and something's off with Surge, then man, I think Gorillas could take it. Let's loosely predict. I've been drinking the Seattle Surge. Well, no, Surge was his own drink. You guys remember that drink, Mountain Dew Surge? I'm drinking the Mountain Dew Surge. I got them winning 3-2 over LAG. That's going to be a crazy match if that happens. What do you think, Kingdom?
I saw a statistic today that said that Vivid is the single best statistically, but not KD. But in terms of kills per 10 minutes, respawn player in the league, like by average.
What? For real?
Yeah,
That's
his
cool.
kills per 10 minutes are top 2. It's just the KD is not as good as everybody else's. I don't know how that works
active.
out.
He's getting in engagements and he's active.
Yeah, he's getting in, exactly. So his kills per 10 minutes in control and hardpoint are both, I believe, top 2. And then there was another stat in hardpoint that he was number 1 in. And so I think, honestly, when lag is just doing their thing, they're hard to beat. Unfortunately, if they beat Seattle in a bad way here, you're going to start having some conversations if you're in the Seattle camp. Unless Seattle's one of these teams that's like LAG, they're just kind of like, we're going to run with this roster, like, period. Like, we believe in these guys. We're not going to make trades to try to get farther. We're just going to run with these guys and let them run with it. And so I'm going to, this is a hard call, but I'm going to say Surge through, if it's not a 3-1, then Surge won't win. Because I think LAG would take the final Surge. I'm going to say, well, you know what? These are fake. I'm going to say LAG 3-2.
Yeah, these are fake, man. We're just
putting
rolling,
way too much thought into it. I'm trying to maintain my cheated dominance of the points.
Oh, well, think about it this way. If our predictions are so good, then these are our actual predictions. No, I still want to see the
Ooh,
teams play before I make the actual prediction.
I like
So,
that.
Shannon, don't write in the spreadsheet, okay? So RØKKR versus who we all think will be Dallas, although I do hope it is New
Oh wait,
York because
did IKON
Dallas
say
is.
his LAG
Oh, I'm
search?
sorry, Icon. My bad.
It's all good. I think LAG is gonna win map 5 anyways. I got
Woo.
3-2 LAG.
Yeah.
I think this is the match that Seattle needs. I think if Seattle wins this, now you're talking like, okay, maybe Seattle's 7th in power rankings or 8th in power rankings, but I think this one comes down to who's gonna play better, Apathy or Looney, and I just think I have a little bit more confidence in Apathy. And if it goes to map 5, I think I have LAG and SND. So 3-2 LAG.
Sometimes when you guys give your reasons for your predictions, I want to change mine. That is a really good point. I'm still drinking the Seattle Surge, though. Let's go. Seattle Surge, I'll do whatever. So Friday, if RØKKR's already sitting pretty, top 6. Let's go, baby. Number 1 seed. All right.
Bang bang.
We all think that Dallas will make it there. Do you think that RØKKR can beat Dallas for a third time? Twice in less than 2 weeks. A pissed off Dallas, mind you. I do think we can do it because we've proven we can do it twice, but I think it will be harder. And I'm not sure how much tougher we can take that match. But I do think that RØKKR can pull away from that, but it's going to be very hard. I think it's a 3-2, 2-3-5 pulling of the series there. What do you guys think? Do you think that RØKKR can beat Dallas a third time, twice in stage 2?
Can they? Yes. This will be a coach v coach, in my opinion. Map vetoes will matter so much in this match.
True.
I think that's why Dallas lost Optic. It was just there was some misly picked maps, I think. I know I get why everybody's scared to pick Apocalypse, but it's like, pick your poison against some of these teams. I'm gonna be an IKON. You've
been rolling with me the whole time, Kingdom. No. You've been rolling with me the whole time.
See, I'm giving IKON a chance to now redeem himself and pick
True.
RØKKR in this match.
True.
No, I'm gonna honestly pick Dallas. Minnesota RØKKR are gonna wipe the losers bracket. They're gonna have a great meetup with probably Chicago in the losers bracket. And then I don't know what the heck's going to happen when it's like Minnesota RØKKR, Dallas Empire, and Atlanta FaZe towards the end. We'll see how that shakes up. But I'm going to say that Dallas is going to win this. I think they're going to lose the next match to FaZe like they did in the last tournament. And it's going to almost be a repeat. But I would say that it's going to be a 3-2, and it's going to be really mixy. Like, it's going to be one where you're glued to the screen, like that Dallas and Chicago match where you just really are like, it comes down to 1v1s, in control and search. And it's just going to be awesome. It's going to be one of the best matches we watch this weekend.
Man, I hope you're right, but I hope we win. Sorry. Go ahead, IKON.
No, it's all good. I look at this one, and I think, honestly, even though every time that Minnesota and Dallas has played, Dallas is 4-0 in the hard points, I think one of those could easily swing. I think Minnesota could come out and win either that map 1 or that map 4. And if Minnesota wins either of those hard points, it's a wash. I don't see how Dallas wins if Minnesota takes a hard point. Now, you can say, well, if they don't, that's still 2 maps to Dallas, but Minnesota's 4-0 in the search, and they're 2-0 in the controls. So if you're trying to think like what's the path to victory here for Dallas over Minnesota, they'd have to win the hard points, which all of those hard points have been really close. They've been like in the 250 to 200 range, somewhere in there. It comes down to winning one hill or losing one rotation or somewhere in there. And then the searches, like the map 5 searches in the 2 matches that they've had have not been close. The map 5 search with Dallas and the last one, the S&D Express, was 6-4. And the first one from the beginning of the year was 6-2. Dallas has not looked great. They are not the same search team that they were last year. Last year, they were cleaning up. They were winning map 5s easily. This year, they're really not, especially against Dallas and against Optic and against Minnesota. So I know that when you're looking at these two teams, it's easy to think you have the defending champs and they performed so well last year. But I don't think I'm as high on Dallas as I was early on in the year or towards the end of the year last year. So I'm going to go Minnesota here. And if Minnesota wins map 1, it could be a
GG.
3-0. I mean,
Imagine. Dude, I'll go
I
to
The
the
think-
first
moon.
3-0 of the year for the Dallas Empire, or the second,
I
I
think-
think you said they got
I
one.
think Dallas makes it to map 5 because, and only because, they're able to win map 1. If they don't win map 1, I don't think they win map 2 search. I don't think that they win the control. So I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to give them those hard points just because. Will they win them? Probably, but with the way Minnesota's been playing, nothing is given, especially with how they performed against Seattle and how they performed against Optic and those hard points. So I'm going to say it will go to map 5. I think Minnesota wins that map 5 to win this match, but I think it's also likely that we could see a 3-0 if Minnesota wins that first map.
As long as it ain't hard point on checkmate, baby, there's a chance. That seems to be Dallas's bread and butter, man. They're playing everybody on that map, and they are most of the time winning. Sometimes only eking out wins, but winning every time. So, yeah, I love that. I mean, obviously, I want RØKKR to win the whole thing. If they 3-0 Dallas, I'm booking a ticket to the freaking moon. My hype alone will get me there, dude. I will be insanely hype. I hope the boys can pull a win in winner's bracket and just keep this train rolling. Let's move on to our final prediction of the day. Atlanta FaZe versus our assumed winner of Chicago Toronto, which based off our predictions would be Chicago. So Atlanta FaZe versus Optic Chicago. Atlanta FaZe obviously coming off an L from LAG, but Optic, had some humbling moments at Stage 2, but now they seem to be on the up and up. And, if we assume, like we are predicting, that they beat Toronto, they'll be kind of on an upswing. So what do you guys think here? FaZe versus Optic. I'm Homer girl, all right? I'm Greenwall forever. Let's go Optic 3-2. I'm probably wrong because FaZe is crazy and they're not going to want to have to lose twice, right? Back to back. That's crazy for them, but if anyone could do it, it's the king, right? I'm drinking the green Kool-Aid now. I think Optic could beat FaZe. It's possible, and maybe it'll be a 3-2. What do you think, Kingdom?
So FaZe, they did actually have a match since the getting beat by LAG.
Did they? Who did
Yeah,
they? Bro.
they smoked the Ravens.
Yeah, London.
Sorry,
It was
I didn't
that
even
fast.
watch-
You
I
wouldn't
didn't
even have
watch
seen
that
it
one.
if you
I
went to the
didn't-
bathroom and
Yo,
came
I
back. You
should've-
would have been like, "Wait,
I
there
need
was a
to watch
match?"
all the matches if I'm going to be talking about them. I'm going to start writing them down because I'm old. I can't remember. Yeah, all right. So maybe, FaZe is already tuned up. Optics tuned up.
But they're tuned up to the worst team in the league. So it's kind of like, and of course it's no shade in a 12-team league of the best players on the planet. But I would say if any of the top teams are gonna kind of dethrone the unbeatable giants that are FaZe, I think this is the match to do it. I think Chicago comes into this tournament with the fire. They come into this, if they can 3-0 Ultra and just come in with straight gas, playing like they were playing, getting them top plays. I mean, we were watching Scump win 1v1s versus Shotzi. Like
that was insane.
If that kind of stuff happens, if the king is on point and everybody and he's screaming and yet, like Envoy said, that was the most hyped moment since last year, like that they've had as a team. And so when you see that happening and that's the fire they're going into this tournament with, I think they have a real chance here. I honestly believe, and this is one of those things that, like IKON said, I think this honestly could be an L for the Atlanta FaZe. Now, if I'm in the losers bracket, I don't want that. I just stay away from me, you Atlanta monsters.
Stay away from me.
Because if any team is gonna go through the losers bracket and beat whatever team is waiting for them, it is the Atlanta FaZe. And with the non-advantage, I mean, how do you beat them in a best of 9? So I'm gonna call it for somebody saying FaZe up in the chat. You can do it too.
I'm
gonna say,
or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Optic can do it too. GG.
Let's go.
Yeah, whatever. And I'm gonna. Oh wait, here we go. Oh, yeah. Let's say Greenwall.
Oh yeah, you got the hat. There you go. Nice.
But I'll say that Optic is gonna actually win this, and I know this is a fake prediction.
This is not. Don't write this down, Shannon. This is not real.
3-0 Optic.
3-0. Shoot! Wow, Kingdom, you wild out here.
It's a fake prediction. I don't care. Yeah.
Hey
don't
man,
tweet that, please.
honestly,
Don't
if that
tweet
happens, don't tweet that. But if that does happen, he should get points. Just for saying some
you heard
crazy
she said it. I get points, crazy points.
Just kidding. Only a half point. All right. Icon, what are you thinking? If FaZe plays who we think may be Chicago on Friday, who you got and why?
Icon's
Are
disappointed.
Icon, or I mean, are Kingdom and I crazy? You could say it.
Yes.
He's so upset.
Absolutely. Of the last 33 maps, guess how many Atlanta's lost?
Three.
Of the last
Four,
33 maps?
Three.
Six.
Six.
Right.
Oh, that was a guess.
They've lost 6 maps in 33, and
That's
now you guys are writing
disgusting.
them off all of a sudden.
Yep.
You guys are wild. I don't see it. I don't know. I would be shocked if Chicago wins this matchup. Not that they can't, not that Optic can't come out and surprise people and have a really good day and beat them. I mean, of course they can. But in order for that to happen, you would have to have, I think, multiple people on Atlanta not having their best day. I would be shocked. I don't know if we want to predict like major winners before we get out of here or not, but I think Atlanta wins this matchup. Maybe Chicago wins a map, but I think it's either going to be a 3-0 or a 3-1. They're the best team in the league. They've got one of the best ARs. They've got the best flex. They've got probably the 2 best SMGs. I mean, this is Atlanta here. Let's not forget.
You're right. I did forget, and there's definitely some Greenwald bias flowing through my veins. I will say that. But hey, if I'm right, I look really cool. So that's what I go for.
I'll tweet it out like, yeah, I guessed this on the show.
Yeah, I guessed this correctly. I don't know how to predict. Like, it's hard. I mean, I'm not going to predict a winner and like have it count for our points because I think we should predict on known matches. But y'all know who I'm going to predict to win this damn thing. It's Minnesota RØKKR, baby. We're looking good. Who knows, man? We got the new kid in town. You know, these meshing well with Priesta, attach, accuracy. You know, they're meshing. It's a great team. They've got a cool dynamic. The roles are working. Great coaching staff. Listen, I'm very biased. I think RØKKR can win this Majors 2 tournament, and I think they will. Put that on Twitter, Shannon. Don't, maybe, unless we lose, though, don't put it. You should put it. No, you should put it. What do you guys think? Kingdom, who's winning Majors 2 final stage? What is this called? Major 2 tournament
Major
is
number
what the
2.
graphic says.
Second major number 2. Major pain again.
Who is working major? No, who is winning Major 2 tournament?
Atlanta FaZe. I think the
even after they lose to Chicago, you think?
Yeah,
I talked some sense
in the losers bracket. Nobody would stop them. Like I think
they're
honestly,
blowing through everybody.
Yeah, this team is not losing twice in the tournament. I don't think they'll lose twice in a week for a long time. The way they took that loss and Simp tweeted out like that will never happen again. That was ridiculous. Like he was pissed, and
yeah.
You don't want to mad Tiny Terrors or, Arcities or like it. It's just, I think this team, if they can stay up here, they'll be fine. And I mean, just sharp up here in their mental. I think they win this. What I'm interested in, who places second? If it's the Minnesota RØKKR, Optic Chicago, or the Dallas Empire. That's who I'm really interested because Dallas last year sneakily without anybody noticing and everybody hating on them because they lost to Optic in the opener and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I think they placed top 2 in like the first. They never didn't play on a Sunday, right? Dallas, they always were in top 4 of every single tournament last year, I believe. And they just have that staying power. And so I'm kind of interested if Minnesota can slide themselves into that position. We thought they were at the beginning of last year. We thought they were at the beginning of this year. This team looks so promising right now. And what I'm looking for is how far can they go? How do they take a loss? If Minnesota RØKKR lose at some point in this tournament, how do they take a loss and how do they respond and rebound? Do they turn it around? And when Dallas lost in the last tournament, they turned it around and beat Optic in New York. And so it's kind of, I'm just interested, or they beat New York and then got back into the grand final. But I'm interested to see what of those other 3 teams plays against Atlanta FaZe in the grand final. If it's not one of those 3 teams, it'll be a surprise. Like, I don't predict anybody else in the league being up there with Atlanta FaZe besides those 3. So I think Atlanta FaZe wins. And number 2 would be Dallas Empire, Minnesota RØKKR, or Optic Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a winner overall, until Atlanta looks a little bit human, I mean, they lost to LAG, but they're 12-1 on the season, 40-12 map count. They've won 33 of the last,
It's ridiculous.
or they've won 27 of the last 33. I mean, they're just insane. I don't see how they win back, or how they lose back-to-back matches, or how they lose 2 out of 3 matches when they've been blowing through everybody this year. So I'm gonna go Atlanta here. If somebody does beat them, then maybe now we have to start sowing in a little bit of doubt with Atlanta, the same way that we're starting to do with Dallas. I think Dallas is not being held in the same regards that we held them in at the beginning of the year and through the first major and stuff like that. I will also say that Jason in the chat brought up a really good point in that
I knew you were going to respond.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to bring it up. I broke this down frame by frame. I went over it a lot. But if Abizi doesn't get that 3-piece as it rotates on Moscow from P3 to P4 right at the bus right there, if he doesn't get that 3-piece, they lose that 3-1, and then that would have been a second loss. So they're definitely not unbeatable. But you also have to say that that goes into what makes Atlanta so great also, is that there are many teams where you have to get that 3-piece to win the map and then to win the match. And a lot of teams don't do it, but those guys do. It's just in their DNA.
It's not luck at all to do that.
No, it's ice. That's skill. That's calling out. That's talent.
And that time, it just happened to be Abizi, but Simp is more than capable of making that play. Arcides can make that play. Celium can make that play. Every single one of those guys in that high-stakes scenario can make that play, and that's part of what makes them so good. So I get it. If Abizi doesn't go off and get that 3-piece, then they probably lose that, but they're Atlanta phase because they make those plays. So I'm going to go with Atlanta to win this second major. We'll see if somebody comes out and surprises us, and maybe Chicago gets on a streak, or maybe Minnesota continues their streak. But it's possible, but we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and we already got matches, so I'm pumped to watch.
I'm ecstatic, you guys. I'm so excited. Guys, that has been the rotation for the night before, the eve before the Stage 2 tournament. I'm very excited. I appreciate all you guys watching, hanging out. You know, we went about an hour and a half here, or no, yeah, about an hour and a half. So appreciate everyone tuning in, sticking around. And if you're listening after the fact, thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, or if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, make sure to follow our podcast. Appreciate everyone here. We'll be back next week unpacking the Major 2 tournament. I'm really excited. Thank you again, IKON and Kingdom. I appreciate you guys being here for me. IKON and I will be on live watching the matches with you guys. We'll be doing the co-stream as always. So we will see you guys on Friday, April 9th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Anyways, thanks everyone for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.
Go Standy!